Yeah.
The gang song
The gang song.
release.
That's an episode waiting to happen. It writes itself.
It will.
Yeah. Anyways, so no clapstick necessary. Welcome to an extended episode of the Effin' Movie Podcast.
No, it's not.
It needs to be.
It needs to be.
No, it doesn't.
I don't know how this movie doesn't.
I'd say this is a pretty short and sweet one.
I think it is too.
I don't know. We'll see. So, we're your hosts, Nathan, Mason, Dylan, and Price in reverse order, depending on if you read right to left or left to right.
Yeah, I guess that is true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Put your leg
You gotta put your leg out. Also,
Other way.
I'm
But-
glad you brought the grays.
We're going this
Somebody
way.
got my
Okay.
emails.
Against
On today's episode, yeah, we're good. On today's episode, we're talking about Past Lives, the 2023 movie that came out this year that may or may not have been difficult to find because of how recently it's kind of come out.
Very.
You know how easy it was to find?
I found it very easily.
I rented it.
You
Oh,
that's
Nathan.
gonna influence your school.
That-
trip.
Oh,
to,
it
be,
is.
to be honest, I do that a lot now.
Do you? Yeah,
It's just easier to throw a couple of bucks.
It's like
at
I
it.
just make that kind of money now.
Yeah, you just like you know what? Sometimes you just gotta throw money on a problem.
Sometimes you do.
Yeah, I get it.
I spent money on the Postman.
Yeah, so you know
I
what?
did too. I did too.
And you know what? He was like,
It was your movie.
one of us was happier about that
No.
decision. Yeah. So, Past Lives, for those wondering what this movie's about, is about a...
Wait, before you go into it, what did you think it was? What did you
Yeah,
summarize it?
Yeah,
So,
the wheel. It
all
was
right.
Dead Asians question mark.
So,
Oh yeah.
for the record, this was a blind watch for me. I had not watched this movie beforehand, so I knew the movie was called Past Lives, and I knew that it was related to something Asian. That's the extent of which I knew it. A friend of mine recommended it to me. It was on my radar already because it was, looks like a drama Oscar bait looking
Yeah.
movie, so I usually check those out. And I had no idea what this movie was about, so I was like, maybe one of them died. Maybe they're all dead. I don't know. Past Lives is a vague term, so whenever I put it on there, I was like, dead Asians?
I would have guessed that too. To be
Listen,
honest.
I didn't know. Maybe there's a generational trauma. Everybody loves generational trauma. That's sexy.
Right, you go with the actual
So
summary.
the actual summary.
where no one dies.
No one's
Yeah.
dead. It's centered around mainly one of our main characters whose names I will both forget. But you have a young
do
girl, and then you have a young kid. They're both in Korea, and it starts out with this little just intro to about these two characters and their kind of like childhood romance and stuff like that. The young girl ends up immigrating to America, and the movie jumps 12 years ahead. It does this twice. And then
like the number 12.
yes. So then it's her checking in and catching back up with him. They find each other over the internet. They kind of catch up again. It looks like they're going to date, and then they're so far still detached from like meeting each other in New York or Seoul that the girl's just like, no, I think we should stop talking because I need to focus on my life here.
And talk later.
Yes, we'll talk later. And then they both decide to go do fuck all else. And then 12 years ahead, in between now and then, girl gets married to a white guy that's somewhat important, actually. And he is, like, dating a girl, kind of, not really. They meet up, hijinks ensue, they talk about past lives. Roll credits. We'll get more into it.
I'm going first.
Sure, Bryce.
Dylan's summary that he just gave was the entire movie.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
That's the entire movie.
There's
This
not a lot of
movie-
high plot notes.
This
there.
movie is over an hour and a half long. That's the entire movie. The characters are as interesting as he just described them. The plot is as interesting as he described them. The romance is even less interesting than how he described it. And he didn't even talk about the
The
romance.
thing is, there's actually not romance in this movie. The most romance you get is a montage of them basically Skyping, like what I'm assuming is every day,
Yeah.
for a couple months at a time. They actually get to know each other, which I thought might have been the best part of the whole movie.
I
enjoyed that.
would say that it just seems pretty realistic.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to judge the romance of it and everything, like, this is very much about trying to be grounded, and I would imagine this is super self-insert.
Mm-hmm.
It is for the director.
Yeah, the director
It's a
themselves
story.
said that it's very almost autobiographical.
Yeah, like you get that feeling
Mhm.
for sure that this is somebody wanting to like kind of tell the story of the way things have worked out at some point.
They were
in
like,
their
I'm not
life.
going to romanticize this. I'm not going to do this or that. Like, this is very much like,
Yeah.
you know what? Sometimes real life isn't super entertaining, and this is how I'm going to, like,
Then
present it.
don't make it a movie if it's not interesting to watch.
No.
and
I'm not gonna make a movie about me
That-
eating
No.
Cheerios in the
There-
morning.
I think I think throwing the whole thing out is like, oh, it's uninteresting. It's it is
It is a
interesting
piece.
in
Yes.
like the ideas that it's trying to get across, and like that. I don't know. I think it does a lot of things very interestingly in just telling this very small, real story about like what is effectively like people kind of realizing like, yeah, you really only got this one go at life, and you know sometimes things just don't hit right.
Right.
And I mean, they keep okay. So I watched this movie about 11 days ago because I was excited
I
to
don't
watch
know why.
Yeah.
it. Well, and I can't remember the word that they throw around the entire
It's
movie.
Iljun or
It's like
Ilwin or something like
Unan
that.
or
It's a
something
Korean
like that,
term that
yeah.
refers to the idea that they knew each other in
I'll
past
fact
lives.
check it.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyways, they
Yeah.
keep throwing that term around, and I think that that's like a weird way of just keeping this pattern going of like, hey, life is life. It is what it is. Like, I don't know.
I don't think it necessarily like translates like, it's not like a Hakuna Matata or anything like that.
Dude,
like,
it felt like Hakuna Matata because they kept throwing it around.
yeah,
Me brushing against Nathan's shoulder in the
It's
train
Ilun,
is
yeah.
Hakuna Matata.
Yeah.
Inyun.
Inyun, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
I was close.
I could have shot
Yeah.
myself if they had said it one more time.
Or how many times they said the title of the movie, Past Lives.
Yeah, but if you shot yourself, that would have been pretty Inyun of you too.
Yeah,
So-
honestly, it all felt pretty inhuman at the end of it. Yeah.
No, I mean, like, I think that this movie in itself, like, I think Nathan's right. It's one of those ones that it felt very genuine in its, like, performances. And I respect the movie for that, because here's kind of, like, my love-hate relationship when we're looking at it from, like, a romantic standpoint. A lot of the through line of this character's story is presented through these two characters' relationship. Now, that's your fault or not to, like, necessarily leap into the romantic side of it. Sure, there's childhood love, and then there's, like, sparks of chemistry that doesn't ever end up paying out in the middle act, and by the end act, these people are just at two different parts in their life. One person's already got a marriage and it's been together for years, and then another person has been dating this girl, seems uncertain, and the guy seems very clearly hung
I'm
up.
sure they had ended it whenever he
Yeah,
did.
like he keeps expressing that it's ending it, but he's talking to her as if it's like not. Like he keeps saying,
Oh,
we took a break because I don't, I actually thought about marrying her. I just don't feel worthy. I feel very ordinary and stuff like that. But I think like credit to this movie, like aside from like the romance stuff, because I'm a little annoyed with myself with watching this movie because there is this factor of like I kind of want them to get together, and I'm like, God, but how fucking cliche is that? And the fact that they don't at the end, and that the woman stays with her husband, rightfully so, who does get cucked at the dinner scene towards the tail end of the movie.
Oh, so bad.
Like,
You
yeah.
think?
Yeah,
So
no.
bad. She completely turns her back
Yeah.
on him and speaks in Korean to this
Yeah,
guy.
yeah.
And he could probably understand like every
God.
like fifth word because
Yeah.
he actually speaks it pretty well.
Yeah,
like weirdly
his
enough,
pronunciation seemed to good. It was what like
he was
the guy
doing
saying.
better than like the Korean dude speaking English.
Right.
Almost, or very close.
Yeah,
So which side of this married couple? Because there's one of the two that is the self-insert for this, or is it multiples?
no,
like, as
she
far
is
as
the
director?
woman is the director.
You
so
think
she
so?
said that
Okay.
it's like her.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that much I did look
God,
into it. The
could
trivia
you
fact is
imagine?
that. Yeah.
That's like a spiteful piece if you're the
Yeah.
white husband. Man,
If I'm a white husband
I
watching
almost
this-
fucking slapped my wife one
Well,
time because she
I-
brought a Korean dude
I mean,
around.
I think even if it was his self-insert, I think it's
I could see that making
it's a
sense
very
too.
interesting
Yeah.
idea, and just like it's if you have a partner that has like grown up in another country
Right.
and moved to here, it's like it's really
You don't know what their background
No
is.
matter what happens in life, you're never gonna quite relate with them because
There's always going to be a degree of separation.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I can see that.
No, I mean, sure. Other than like the husband getting cucked, which I will reflect more on later.
Mm.
There's like a genuine like connection. I think the romance stuff with the husband definitely gets skimmed over a whole lot. But the entire time, I think one thing I really liked about the film is that at least with the Act 3 part after the second time skip, they don't actively try to villainize any of these three characters. And I respect a movie that doesn't go into saying like, okay, let's hate the husband so that you're cheering for these two to get together, or let's hate the guy because he's simping too hard, and it's like, or let's hate the girl for not getting together with this like clearly
Or trying
easy
to
love
balance
story.
both.
I think
Right.
that Korean guy's kind of shitty in the third act. I mean, he comes to America knowing that she's got a husband.
Yeah.
And they even said,
And
yeah,
he-
he came there for me.
And he
Sure.
tries, like, he spits some game at her when they're at the dinner
He-
together. I'm
He,
like,
he
that's
definitely goes
pretty
to like
terrible.
put his feelings out for like the last time with it.
With her husband right there, who he
Yes.
apparently likes.
I'm not saying that it's like
He's pretty shitty.
but they don't present it. Yeah, like that's a shitty thing to do. But they don't like the movie's not actively making you feel like you should be.
Yeah,
like,
but me as a reasonable human
Sure,
being
sure,
with
sure.
Watching
emotional
this movie,
intelligence,
when
like
I've just seen
he's the
60% of
daddy.
this movie.
if I'm looking at the white husband guy, I'm kind of like, are you hitting on my wife? You know, like for
Yeah.
sure, it's the situation, but the tone. They never push the tone of it, right? Because you know, like a movie can influence you to make you like a character who's being terrible.
She was a little bit during that part. She was like kind of like touching his leg,
There's
like doing a little bit.
There's
like,
definitely
oh.
some like questionable boundaries at times with like the.
But she's the one who
relationship.
initiates the like gentle touching and
Yes.
stuff. He didn't do that.
Yeah, right, but it teeters the line. It never goes full into committing to say like this person's bad, this person's bad. This is, but that's where I thought in itself it was kind of organic. You know, like there's a moment where it's just like, okay, there are people with unhealthy like boundaries that are still in healthy relationships. There are people with like relationships that could be easily being like, you're very close with your male best friend or your girlfriend or like best friend or your they them best friends or whoever, and you know, and it's just like. As a partner, to be intimidated, and I like that the movie addresses that. Like the husband even has that scene where he's just like,
I mean,
how
you
do I
can
compete
tell
with
with the husbands like it. I think they did a good job of him
doing
like,
what he can.
him having some obvious struggles, but
Yeah.
trying to be reasonable and accepting of
yeah.
what is a situation that, I mean, like
It's very fish
has-
out of water for
yeah, and is something that, I mean, if you're thinking about being him, it's like, well, that guy's he's gonna go.
yeah.
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 Like this is something that they need to work out, but it's not like he's staying here.
Right, and the husband clearly understands that it's more than the guy. There's so much importance behind it because she talks about it in the bathroom scene beforehand, where she's just
Yeah.
like, you know, it's not just that.
He's
like,
so much more attractive than I thought.
God, he's handsome.
Good lord.
I
I
know.
would probably mess with him right now.
I've never been so attracted to someone. No, but it's.
Did he say that?
No.
She did. I think he
she-
asked her if she thought he was attractive,
Yes.
and she said, I think like something
He's-
like
he's
honestly,
fairly
The,
manly
hus-
Korean,
the husband asked.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
husband asked
Yeah.
his wife at one
Yeah.
point, and she was like, and it's very much like one of those insecure moments. She's in the bathroom, like while he's in the kitchen, and then he asks
Yeah.
her, he's like, "Hey," well, do you
and she's
find-
like jawing about him like up until
Yeah,
this
she's
point
just
too.
like-
Like just
he's very handsome in Korean. She's like, I definitely think he's like, yeah, I think he's like a handsome dude, but she
Well-
kind of dismisses the idea of like,
that he should be jealous. Like she
Don't,
kind of like
yeah.
he gets him off track of like, yeah, you shouldn't be jealous.
Right.
Like I'm just speaking of my old friend. But I think the most endearing point in this movie was the very, very final scene after they hugged. She walked away. She like stayed strong, and you know the husband was there on the doorstep
Yeah.
waiting for her. Which, fine, okay, I did enjoy that part of
Mhm.
it. But like to Nathan, you know, if you put yourself in the husband's shoes, you do say to yourself, this dude is only going to be in the picture for the next like X amount of hours. His flight is literally leaving. Like
Yeah.
if I can just sit through this dinner, if I can just be there for her, then this will all blow over by the morning, in theory.
there's a tiny little throwaway moment that I registered and I'm like, oh, that hits way harder than it should. But it's whenever they go off to the Korean characters go off to the Statue of Liberty, and then she mentions to the husband, she's like, oh yeah, we went to the Statue of Liberty. He's like, oh, we've never been. I realized that the entire time we've been here, we've never been. And that's that's a quick throwaway line, but as a married adult, I'm like, oh, that would be a fight. Like that's like that absolutely is
But then
like
again,
I
you
get
also
that.
Yeah,
you
like-
also wouldn't want to go somewhere that you and your significant other have been
all the time,
5
right?
times,
Right,
you
know,
because then that's touching into
Yeah,
a,
but
where'd
that-
you guys go? We went to Chewy's. Oh,
oh,
but
that's
that-
another fight.
well, the motherfucker. No, that's my case though.
That lessens the moment though. That would be the place I'd want to like. take
Yeah,
them,
right.
If anything, because it's not something special or something you haven't done before.
But
See,
also in New
Well,
York
no,
City,
but he's saying more like one of those places that like
That
why he's
means
at
a lot to your
Chewy's.
relationship?
Yeah.
if Kelly
That's
were to go
different.
to Red Robin with a guy that she
Yeah.
grew up with, you are going nuts.
Yeah.
And also to say, Dylan, I think I could counter that a little bit. It is
Yeah.
New York City.
Yeah, New York
So,
City has
like,
an infinite amount of things to do.
There's a
give or
ton
take,
of stuff
right.
to do. I
Yeah.
get that the Statue of Liberty is huge, but
And it's
like,
one of these cliche things.
you
with-
can't
Well,
go
yeah.
to many
Right.
places where it's not going to be a big like, oh wow, well,
I kind of like loosely relate with that because just for like our anniversary, like literally the other
With
weekend
Bowling
or so.
Green?
Yeah, well, we just went to Lost River Cave. I've never
Oh.
actually gone to the caves before.
okay.
I've been here for like 15 years. I never went to the
Did
caves.
you do the boat ride?
Yeah.
So stupid.
It's okay.
I hate it. It's like
I like his
it's
attitude.
like, it's like
That's a
$30
good attitude
and you're
to
in the
take.
boat
Yeah,
for
that's
like
kinda pricey.
5 minutes and you make a circle.
No, it's not a full 5 minutes.
It's
We were
so stupid.
we were in there for a good
Kelly and
half
I
hour.
did it like not too long.
Yeah,
ago.
we were in there for a good half hour. The only part that's really sucks that you have to put your head under that one rock.
That was the neatest part, I thought.
Oh, my neck issues were like, I hate
Oh,
this. Yeah.
yeah.
So anyway,
Oh,
not
yeah.
the point.
Sorry, everybody.
Yeah, but so anyways, it's the little tiny things that again I really enjoyed the genuine factor behind that. Like again, I can't keep going back to enough characters feeling human and
Yeah.
real and flawed,
Yeah,
but not
this
like
just feels like a very down to earth, real story, which is why
Yeah.
I keep saying like it's very self inserted. It's like
yes.
this happened to somebody.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody like this is just something that has happened to someone for sure.
Mhm.
I know I'm gonna push buttons with this comparison, and I don't really care. It's not my movie, and I know everybody's gonna
Say
like
pro-man.
get in an uproar and
If
be
you
like,
say pro mayor, I'm
Say
leaving.
Billy
though.
Madison.
and everybody's gonna be like, "Well, you're wrong."
That
I don't
one's
care.
fair.
This movie to me is like a marriage story in a sense
Okay,
because it's
that's
this story
fine.
about like
Candace said the same
these
thing.
two kind of people. But the difference is in Marriage Story is that I know so much about those characters from Marriage Story. Granted, Marriage Story is like 30, 45 minutes longer.
At least.
But I feel
It
like I
does
know,
stuff.
like I know
Yeah.
that relationship. I know why they're together. I know why there's
Casuals.
romance. I understand everything that's going on in that relationship, and I'm deeply invested. And whereas in this movie, it is so milk toast and nothing happening, and I don't even want to hear the argument that it's more realistic because both of these relationships exist. The kind of like Hollywood relationship
Yeah, I'm not
exists where
disagreeing
there's
with
this huge rich blowout. There's also these like more quiet, long distance kind of relationships. There's different things, but Marriage Story I think hits that tone so much more and really hits what it's going for rather than this one that just feels like it's just dying
I
on
feel
the
like-
street the whole
I feel
time
like
to
this
me.
is a completely different direction because to
Mm.
me, like the takeaways from this movie are very different from the takeaways from Marriage Story.
But that's what I was just
There's a
saying.
lot more at stake at Marriage Story.
But that's
too.
what I'm saying though is that Marriage Story goes for like a big more bombastic kind of approach to this
Hollywood.
this
Yeah.
kind of romance, whereas this one goes for more like it's in the quiet moments. It's in the like the Statue of Liberty. We've never been there before. It's much more in the quiet moments. But again, for me, it doesn't hit on that smaller tone that it's going for because I don't care anything about anything that they're
Well-
doing. And I can't believe we're disagreeing on this.
What I'm saying
But-
about this is like whenever you finish watching Marriage Story, it's not like as I don't know. Like to me, this was more like a self-reflective, like thoughtful kind of movie where like you go away from it kind of thinking about your own life in a way. I don't think you do that with Marriage Story.
because
Unless you have something directly.
because I'm
related
not
to it.
self-inserting
Yeah.
myself into the movie. I'm watching the movie to like
Well, it's,
that was
I'm
a
not
good
even saying
movie.
it's a self-insert. I mean, I think it's just kind of a thoughtful thing of, like, I mean, what it's trying to portray is just like a misconnections kind of stuff.
To me, I'll watch a TED Talk if I want something to be thoughtful about, not an hour and a half film that I have to critique. For me,
Mason,
Yes.
thoughts?
So my issue with this movie is in the first, we keep putting it into 3 segments, right?
Mhm.
Like that last third, that
The middle
last
section
30
skips the rocks really quick though.
Dude,
Yeah.
that middle segment's it's pretty nuts.
Yeah.
I really, really enjoyed the first like 30 minutes of this movie.
Mhm.
I think that it was fantastic. There was a scene where the 2 kids basically said goodbye for the last time, begrudgingly almost, because the boy didn't want to speak after he learned that the girl was moving away to.
You see him
New
like
York.
angry in the
they really
classroom.
thought they had something with that shot.
That
too.
scene was
I
cool.
knew you were gonna say that.
That
I knew-
scene was cool.
Here's the
Dude.
funniest fucking thing. Okay, you guys stay the same. Because as I was watching that film, I saw the shot with the 2 staircases. I'm like, Price is gonna hate that. Mason's gonna love that.
It was so neat. And
That's
like,
the director saying, like, look what's happening.
and I knew you were gonna be like, how dare they be artsy
Right.
about
But
what
here's
they're
the deal. In the first 30 minutes,
I'm with
that's a
Mason on
good
this for the
ass
record.
shot.
That's a great
The
shot.
I'm glad they
problem is
gave me
there
the
was
kids
no
movie.
shot
Yeah.
after that that
Thank
even
you.
meant anything to me. Every
Yeah.
shot after that was nowhere near that cool. So it's just like, yeah, okay, that shot was neat.
Stay the
Joe
same.
noticed
guys.
that they also at one point, like, she was telling him to watch Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless
Yeah,
Mind.
yeah.
I thought that too because we talked
I
about
thought that was gonna
and
come
I haven't
back.
seen
You
it.
like
I know.
heard the audio of it a little bit in the
Right.
background.
Yeah,
too?
there's like it's playing later on
Is
in
that
the
on their
scene.
Skype call or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't
That's
notice
doing that
that.
little montage part where they're like falling for each other over Skype.
And it's on the TV in the background with it.
because she's trying to talk to him more about her culture in America.
But to
So, go
to,
ahead.
to finish
Yes,
my
yes,
main
yes.
point, like the first third of this movie was fantastic. I love that montage. That was just at the very end of that first third.
Mm-hmm.
And the issues started from there on. Like by the end of it, I couldn't say enough to this Korean dude to just get the fuck over it. Because like I understand that you guys kind of created something over Skype and it's long distance and you guys are talking every day. You guys are basically pen pals
Right.
from across the world, and and I get that can mean a lot. But the day that girl comes across the Skype call and is like, "Look, I'm gonna focus on me. I'm a bad bitch. We can maybe pick this up later, but also don't hold out for me." Like that's where I'm basically just
If it was
cutting
you there,
myself out of the equation.
you never talk to her again.
No,
do you?
and
Okay,
like,
yeah.
and I mean, you could try to keep up with her from time to time just to
Sure.
see, but like that almost made him more involved with her. Like that.
Yeah.
That threw him into her world even more. Except for that one time, did he like leave the city when she visited the city? You guys remember that? Whenever she
Yeah,
visited
but-
her mom back in Seoul or whatever.
There's like a weird crossover moment where it feels like he's wandering around. Like, yeah, he wasn't. No, he was in Seoul, but he says when he's in New York, he's like, "Oh, I just didn't pick up your call."
Yeah, I just didn't want to.
Yeah,
because I was still hurt, and
right.
like fair, I guess, but he shouldn't have been hurt 12 years later or 9 years later.
Well,
at that
so
point.
she was married.
12 years, you guys.
She had been married at that
agree.
point.
She was
Yeah.
already
12
married.
years goes by, and he is going to the bar with her and her husband to like catch up and talk about In Yoon. I don't understand. Like that's 12. What were you guys doing 12 years ago? Your girlfriend.
I actually was thinking
senior
about that
year.
when you were saying that.
Would you follow to wherever, if she's in Cleveland, Ohio, are you going up there and be like, look?
Mine's in Louisville, and I'm gonna see her in a couple weeks, so I'll tell you how it goes.
I mean,
She's supposed to be at like
are
this
you going
get-together thing
to
with a mutual
basically
friend of ours.
confess your undying love to her in front of her spouse?
Unlikely, but I don't know.
Nathan?
If he can talk in another language
Yeah.
that he doesn't understand.
She knows sign
That he can
she
only
was,
pick
she
up
was
on.
sign language program with me, so. Yeah. So you know what? Stay tuned.
Christ, can I get your answer?
Yeah.
I was actually, because like I could kind of relate to the situation because when I was like
This is
18,
blowing
I
up in my
actually
face.
I was kind of seeing like this girl that was like my first like real kind of girlfriend, and like we were off and on for a while. But when I was 18, and now thinking like, well, we ended obviously, and like, do I have any interest in seeing her now? No.
Yeah.
No,
And
that's a
that-
chapter of my life that's just
And that's
past.
the thing. It's just like,
Why travel across the world to go see her?
and like,
Oh,
and
one in
it's
New
kind
York,
of on
you
the
know?
girl too, because she does basically just cut their ties. Which, granted, she's trying to do, what was it, like a magazine thing?
Pull
No,
Pulitzer.
she's trying to get her like writing award.
Articles,
Like,
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what she's doing. She's churning out articles. You know, she's wanting to focus on her career. I get that, but also,
I can't hate her for that because
No.
she
No.
says herself that she's like, I'm trying to live my life here and all I can do is think about you, and we're not even a year away from actually being together, and she's like, that's hard. Like what she's effectively saying is, I don't want to do a long distance
I
relationship.
can't come to Seoul. You won't come.
You
to
want
New
to go to New
York.
York, and I've got my whole life here, and you've got a whole life there. So like,
Yeah.
why are we talking? And honestly, respect. Like,
Yeah.
He wasn't doing shit.
Well, because
at that
she
point.
put the offer on the table, like, hey, like, can you come?
can
like,
you come
can
here?
You come see me?
Like,
And he's like, no.
No, it's like a year and a
She's
half.
he's
Like-
living at home.
But-
Yeah.
Yeah, but then he's like, well, do you want to come see me? And it's like, well, she cares a lot more about where she's at, whereas he's
Yeah.
just kind of like,
she's got roots planted. He's just
Yeah.
She's
chilling.
in university. Yeah.
Yeah, like she's really got her life already moving at this point. And he's
Yeah, I mean,
chilling,
she mentions
so.
that she had like immigrated twice.
Right.
from,
where she
because she went to
was.
Toronto first.
Yeah, she moved
And
to
then
Canada
to
and then to New York.
New York.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just that the movie completely fell off the rocks for me. after
Because
the
you're like,
montage.
bro, quit calling her.
Honestly,
yeah.
and I like the husband guy. He's pretty charming. The
The
way that
husband
they
show.
met is whatever, like a writer's study
It's
kind
a-
of deal.
it's a-
Fine.
Speaking of, he was doing a book signing.
Oh, Boner?
Okay, I was
Yeah.
wondering if I was crazy. It's like, what's this book named Boner?
Yeah, it's called Boner.
And it seems like he's doing well because
Yeah.
he was doing a book signing.
Yeah.
It's
It
like,
felt-
good for him.
It felt tonally very weird for the movie for that book to be Boner, and
Yeah.
nobody talks about
Yeah.
it. Like, it was like the
Yeah,
movie
that
having
was
a
that was
run.
very strange.
Yeah, I remember thinking like, this book's really called Boner, huh? We're just not gonna talk about it. And I'm like, that's a young kid talking to him. Okay.
Why is this kid reading this book?
Right. I'm like, maybe it's a pre-puberty book or something like that.
Yeah, like what kind
He
of
might be.
author is this man?
Right. I have more questions than answers after this
Yeah.
movie, but
Okay, are we ready for
Anyways.
the question?
yeah.
I have one that I think people have been thinking.
Was it that? Did you think that there was dead Asians in this movie too?
No.
Okay. Well, that's my question. Go ahead.
Okay, so if you were in that husband's position, the white husband,
Yes.
what do you do when this situation comes afoot?
I walk out on the dinner myself.
Okay,
probably.
so you let the dinner happen and like
Yeah.
I think you go
He
to
was
dinner, but when
walking
they're
out.
at the bar is whenever it starts to feel like I think you guys need to have this time.
Yeah,
Right.
and it might be like a a little bit of a frustrated leave, like, but yeah, like to Dylan, just
Yeah,
say like,
like-
look, I'm gonna go home. This obviously is not much for me. You know, you
Right.
guys do your thing. I'm still gonna support it
Yeah.
from afar. Like,
Yeah.
I don't need to be there. He's not even there. She even turns to him at one point and is like, huh, he's talking about you, and
Yeah.
to try to get him involved,
And
and
he's
he's still just
okay,
like,
and then she's like, no.
yeah.
And it goes
Yeah.
back to the
And
conversation.
then turns her back. To
Yeah.
So I'm out of the equation during the bar scene.
Wait,
for
do
sure.
you leave during the bar? Like you
Probably,
get the
yeah.
drinks and then
I'm
she
out.
turns her back and then you leave.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, either
We can talk about it later.
I either leave at
Yeah.
the bar or I leave before the bar and say, you know, I think you've got a lot to talk about and process, so I think you do that best without me there.
Yeah.
You can tell me about that when you come home.
You or
Yeah.
me?
I mean,
You just saying the whole time? To be fair, the Korean guy, when he is talking to you, seems quite...
Oh, he's
Quite
pretty
lovely.
earnest.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's-
he's
you're having a
not-
great time.
But he's not there for me.
No, he's not.
You know, he's
No.
absolutely not trying to be
Yeah.
my friend. I mean,
No.
he might.
yeah, well, you know, you stick around enough to make him like you.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was like
Make
you're not
this hard.
gonna- like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
like, you're not gonna fuck me over, dude.
Yeah.
And then we're good.
You would never fuck a guy's wife who you like. It's when you hate them that it's easy. This guy's playing
it's whenever
4D chess.
it's whenever you think that they don't deserve
Yeah.
the partner that they have
Right.
that maybe you're a little more okay with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, when Beauty and the Beast is going on, you're like, Beast, he's abusive. Yeah, I'll take him from him. Gaston, 2020.
Best Disney song.
Yep. Anyways, Fat, Thin, Perfectly Fit. This is the shape of the movie.
Price didn't give his answer.
Price
I
already
don't
said
think Bryce has
fat.
to give his answer
Well,
to the answer.
Oh,
yeah.
He already said fat. Like, did you not? Or
no,
No,
he's
no,
talking about the
the-
husband thing.
Oh, the husband.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No.
Yeah, you just-
Husband. Yeah, Mr. White Husband. What do you do in this circumstance?
I mean, YTA here. I mean,
You're
I'm,
the asshole.
I am making it very
You're the
apparent.
asshole.
Like, if this is my actual wife, who I've been married for like 11 years or 12,
Yeah.
Probably about 10.
It's something
Yeah,
to
right
this
around
point,
10 years.
and she's like, "Hey,
They were
like,
married about as long as me and Hannah.
it's like an old fling who like I liked when I was like young, and then we Skyped a couple of times, is wanting to come here and visit for some reason. Are you cool with it?" I'm honestly putting my foot down. I'm like, I think this is stupid. If you want to, just know I'm going to be very upset. But it makes zero sense why this would happen. Why else would he come here besides to put himself back out to you? Like
To-
why? Like why
to
would you be
express his
interested in that?
intentions and
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
remind you that he is still lurking.
Like, I'm not going to tell her no, but I'm going to say, like, I do not approve. I'm not coming. If you want to do it, go ahead. It doesn't make sense. I'm going to be angry. That's what I would say. If that's my actual wife
Yeah.
of 10 years.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
I'm telling you,
I
it's
feel
a
like
lot of time.
you've kind of framed it in a little further back than everybody else was talking about it.
Right.
Like,
Oh,
a little,
okay.
like a little sooner than what actually went down.
Right. Yeah. So, and I think that there's like, that's not a disingenuous way of presenting it, but it's more than that. Like, she as she's describing the whole situation to him, I come back to that with like it's in the bathroom scene where it feels like we got the most explanation about everything.
There was some stuff that was talked about there.
Yeah, where
some,
I mean,
some emotions.
she talks about, again, it's not even so much for him, like, or for her, it's not even just so much about, like, seeing him for him. It's her for seeing who she was, what this part of, like, her life would have been, what Korea, like, her Korean identity self, her past life, if you will, trademark, is,
They
you know,
say it many times.
I know, it's her processing, not even just, like, whenever she's crying at the end, it's not even her crying that, like, yes, it's her crying that this is, like, finally done. Like, this is the real full closure of this relationship.
For another
Yeah.
12 years.
Yeah, until
Fuck
one
this
of them
movie,
dies.
It's fucking 12 years. God damn, I hate it.
Is this movie actually
I
supposed to
think
be
they
12 years
started
a
when they were
slave?
12. That's what I
Is
kept
that,
thinking.
yeah. But it's the idea that, like, it's what he represents to her. It's who she is and, like, what she left behind when she immigrated, not once and twice. Because, again, she talks about this whole movie. She's like, whenever I immigrated here, you know, whenever I was in Korea, whenever I was with you, I was able to laugh, I was able to cry, I was able to feel these feelings. And then we moved here, and then I couldn't feel anything. Because it was like I would get picked on, I'd get lashed out at, and then I immigrated again. And so much of that is, like, you know, she's looking at him as this concept of, like, you're the last time in my life I was able to feel like I was opened up to me until I get to my husband. So there's that symbolic importance of it being like, all right, clearly you've got a whole lot of immigration trauma to, like, process with that, and he's just a medium for that. Yeah, girl, go do you. I trust you. You're a partner that I know you're gonna come back with that. It's a bit weird for me. I feel like I'm getting cucked a little bit on it, but you've got some stuff to figure out.
They
Like,
also, I will say, they did a pretty good job of like the time frame or like the decades in this time. Like she probably transferred to Toronto, roughly in the early '90s, right?
late 90s, early 2000s.
Before chat, before AOL, before anything.
Because they're right around our age. They're like 34 or so. So like
yeah.
It's like
before
34,
you
35,
could
so.
like but they were also like 11 at that point.
Sure.
Like, we might have
Yeah.
had Windows 98 at that point.
Yeah.
But before you could actually like keep in touch, right?
Yeah,
That
I was about to say.
Possible.
As
Like,
somebody who's moved a
early,
lot as a
early
kid
2000s.
before like
Well,
the
and
relevant
her name
age.
was changed.
Yeah, and her name
That too,
changed
but-
to American name. So.
But
yeah.
even if it was pushed another 10 years,
Mhm.
this whole thing would have been different. Where like they probably would have stayed in touch if he cared that much. If she cared that much, they could have, even if her names changed. Like
Yeah.
that was nothing. Like in 10 years later, because you could just Facebook them, you could MySpace them. There is no limit. If it was like late teens.
Yeah.
And you say that. You can't Facebook me.
Yeah, it's true.
You're not finding me.
You're not finding Nathan.
Nathan's changed his name 4 times, so the
Yeah.
government can't find
I've
him.
Googled Nathan every
Yeah, I
time.
grow my hair out. I cut it back.
They'll
Yeah,
never find him.
shaves it, unshaves it. It's the weirdest thing. Score. Oh, wait, shape. Oh, sorry. Yeah, we haven't done shape. Yeah, that's right. Nathan. We'll bring it back to
I
you.
think it's a little thin.
Mm.
Like, I mean, it's
Needs
it's
another
a
12
movie.
years.
It's a movie that is honestly, it feels quite short. Like I know it's like a
Yeah.
standard length for a movie, but for what all happens and such, like
Yeah.
I don't know. I think you could probably put like another 15 minutes or so into this movie and get a little
Some
more out
kind
of it.
of-
but
yeah,
I
some
can't-
kind of
I don't know.
meatiness out of it.
Right.
Like I guess the biggest thing is just like right at the end, it's just like, and it's over.
No,
Uh-huh.
that's exactly where I was. I was like, I was waiting for the ball to drop
Yeah.
for the last half of this movie, where I was like, something's gonna.
Who-
Kind of like you.
Which funeral were they going to be at? You know, like
Yeah.
that's where it starts to feel like after
Yeah,
a minute.
like this is I would say this is a movie that feels like it doesn't movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
It doesn't follow
Yeah.
a formula. It doesn't. Yeah.
It feels almost intentionally
agree.
not. It almost intentionally nots to.
Thanks, Nathan.
Price for other reasons. Agreeing.
Price is praising the good
Yeah.
word of Nathan.
Like it doesn't
Right.
do movie things.
Yes.
I'm out.
He's gonna, no, he's gonna
Like it
start
doesn't
doing
feel
Birdemic
like
crossover now.
like
He's
things
oh.
that you think would happen in a movie don't happen in this movie.
This movie is not tropey by any sense of the
No.
mouth. No, yeah,
No,
definitely
that's true.
not.
Y'all are saying that as a positive.
We are.
This movie is hella chunky. Like
Mhm.
it is so chunky that like. I wish I know that they broke it up into 12-year increments
Yeah.
for whatever reason. I think they could have.
For whatever reason.
I would have been
I'm
more
gonna
okay
break
with
up this
like.
review to 12 years.
We could have done like every few years, like checking in on him, because like it makes it so much less believable for me to have this dude still lingering around, and like and in that time frame, you could make me believe that this dude. You could sprinkle some things along the way to where like they actually are staying in touch.
From like the 20s
She's
to the 30s,
apologized.
there's
Yeah,
a little bit
she's
to keep you strong.
apologized for saying I want to put my career first at the 3 years later mark, and then he actually did visit her at the 5-year mark, and then she visited her mom and then visited him, and like make this shit a little bit more believable. When you throw him into the picture as a 36-year-old simp, that's where I am completely done. Like
Yeah.
it is ridiculously unbelievable for me
It's a great term.
to think that he has spent roughly 26 years of his life, saying 11 and beyond,
Yeah.
just sad, is pathetic to me.
I mean, he's in a way, it's like he's
Amazing.
hung up on a 12-year-old girl.
Yeah. That's who he fell in love with. This girl
Yeah.
now, that's a whole different
Yeah.
person.
Like that's
And you could
that's-
say,
so that's pretty weird. I wonder the psychology of like somebody who has lived with their parents their whole life, like what that means developmentally and stuff
we
too.
say that he lived with his parents. He was only in his like early 20s, still living with his parents whenever they were Skyping.
Well, we don't know if he's living with his parents in his 30s.
That's
though.
true.
Yeah, you don't.
That
know.
he's still visiting with
No,
his.
she
or-
even says that he's still.
No, yeah, she does.
Yeah,
she does mention
say
he's
that
still
he
living with
lives
his. Yeah, he's very Korean. He's
Because
still
she
lives
says
with
it's
his
very
parents.
Korean.
It is. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
he's still visiting or hanging out with his buddies, drinking.
Right.
sake
I mean,
and all
you see
that.
him doing all of the same stuff in every skip.
Yeah,
ahead.
every time
That's
it
her
goes
fault.
to him in Korea,
That's his
he's
fault.
That's her
basically in the
fault.
same
That's
situation.
her fault that he's stuck.
Well, it's her fault for still hanging around,
Stringing him along, you
accepting.
felt?
Yeah.
How,
Okay.
how did she
Yeah.
string him along?
How did she was very clear about
They
her.
were very much in contact with each other because she said, "Yeah, he won't answer my phone calls. Yeah, he's supposed to visit me. Blah 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 in New York." Like she's keeping tabs on him even in the latest part of this movie before he visits. She told the husband.
Point to Mason.
Whenever she goes to visit, she mentions that she was.
If that's true,
There's an
then,
implication that they're still kind of in touch.
I know somebody that should probably watch this movie then.
She's never gonna see it.
To see what you shouldn't do.
Yeah, here's what you don't do.
So
all right, credit Chris too.
I can't. I like. You say that this is a
Mason
what do you call it?
hates
a
Sims.
self.
That's what I found
self
out from this review.
reflect, right?
Self-insert.
Self-insert?
Yeah.
Not my fucking problem.
Mason's like, I inserted myself there and I said, I'm not that guy.
I'm not him. I won't be him. And I guess kudos to him because he got a lot of money for this, and it's gonna get Oscar noms and probably votes.
It's definitely getting Oscar noms. Like,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
here, okay, Mason, hear me out though. All right.
Here we go.
Can you give us the shape?
Well, it's thin.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I agree. There's, ironically, like it's objectively a roundabout fat. The movie is like pretty lengthy, but I there was all this time that I agree that I wanted scenes like I wanted the connection and the threads between, especially the 20s to 30s. There's a lot
When
of
it
stuff
matters.
that's a lot of stuff I would have liked to see, and
Yeah.
I think if they put that into the runtime, that's great because they had it. Like, there's so many scenes that, quick criticism, Quentin Tarantino'd all over the place. Like, and sometimes it was appropriate, and sometimes I was just like, okay, come on, let's movie a little bit here, you know, if I'm priced. So, so the movie's thin. I wanted more out of what I got for it. But so here's a funny thought I had with it. The soy boy, Beta Cuck, of all the people, is the Chad Korean dude looking guy who's simping the entire time. The white husband, he walks away at the girl at the end. He said, "I'll let you go because I know where you're coming back." You know,
You always come back.
you always come back, and I'm sure it's not just because you're green card. You know, they're married, so she's like a citizen at that point.
I mean,
So, strangely, the guy who gets cucked at the bar, actually the Chad.
in a way, yeah.
What a flip. What a reversal
Yeah,
this
it's
movie
a
is.
lot. Yeah,
This
it's
movie
a lot.
said, fuck you tropes. We ain't doing it.
We're not doing a one.
This Chad Korean dude, the strong jawline,
He's getting what he
handsome business
gets.
guy, simping. Anyways, scores. We'll start with Price. Set the bar down. And
Dylan
I'll-
doesn't want to let me answer any of these questions, I guess.
Was there a question to that?
The fat thin.
I thought you
It's
said fat.
It's just like our signal group, you know. Like I just
No,
put
you-
stuff out there
you
and he
said
just says
fat from
K.
You said from the beginning, and then we all even said, well, Price already
No,
said
I didn't
so.
get to give my answer
Sorry.
because I'm giving a Dylan answer of this movie is fat and thin at the same time.
Oh!
Because it's fat in that
Trusting a good
It's-
review artist.
it's just talking nonstop about stuff I do not care about
Mhm.
with characters I do not care about, and thin because we don't even remember their names. I remember that the girl's name
That's
is
unfair to this movie. I don't remember most
her
names.
original name
and
is
they're-
Na Young.
Yeah,
I remember her,
Young.
I know her name is Nora. Her English name.
Yeah, is who it ends up being. And then I don't
Guy
remember
name?
Ilyu?
His husband's name or her husband's name?
Arthur.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
we're
You
You
getting
could be lying
somewhere.
through your teeth right now. And I
It's
would
all-
not
look
know.
it up. It's
Well,
still-
he also had a Jewish last name. That
Yeah,
was kind of
because he mentions
mouthful.
being.
Doesn't matter. It goes to my point anyway because these
Jehovah's
characters are nothing milquetoast, so boring, and they needed you have an hour 46 runtime. Just use it and develop these characters rather than just talking about the situation that is with nothing happening. It's the most bizarre movie where an hour 46 passes and I'm like, wait, what? They just didn't get together? That's all that happened? And it wasn't that interesting?
You're telling me.
All right, so by the end, you did want them together. Did you? All right,
I did
that's
not.
actually a question. in
Price
That's
itself.
a
wanted
question?
something to happen.
I didn't care about what happened in their relationship. I didn't care if a monkey came in with an Uzi and shot him up
hold
both.
Hold on.
I didn't care at
But,
all.
okay,
Could you
and
imagine?
I'm not comparing it in
That's
quality or how
a
much you enjoy it.
self-insert.
I know. Price
I'll
would,
be
Price
a
would insert
monkey.
himself as a monkey with a gun. That's about the most American Price thing he can insert himself into this movie.
That's
with.
where I would be. Who's
Yeah.
gonna be the character?
Curious George
None of
gets
us.
angry.
Yeah. Curious George gets revenge. Okay, hold on though. So we've watched enough Are They Gunnas at this point. We've watched
What
Your
ifs?
Names, we've watched this, movies where it's like,
What other ones genuinely like Your Name,
uh-huh.
Marriage,
Jojo Rabbit
Jojo Rabbit,
at the very end.
Eternal Sunshine.
Eternal Sunshine, which you didn't,
Ah.
but see, this
Yeah.
movie's even shaming you for it.
Moonrise Kingdom.
Moonrise, yeah,
I don't remember that one.
we've watched enough.
There's a lot.
We've watched enough that were like, Are They Gunnas at the end? were you were you like on the train that like I want them to?
Without like laughing and saying nothing, like and not making a joke.
Just as a spectator, would you think that the
genuinely
movie is
did
better?
not.
Is the movie better to you if they get together at the end?
The movie does not change if they get together at
Okay.
the end because I don't feel like anything leads me to the point of caring whether or not they're together at the end.
Okay, quick responses from you guys really quick on that. I'm gonna say no. I think the movie's way better with them not being.
Honestly, I'd be kicking myself either way if I said like this movie gains a lot of points if they make it together at the end because like the white dude has done no wrong
Yeah.
and like he basically just wasted.
You're
some
just gonna
years of-
sacrifice
like,
this marriage, like,
Yeah, like-
for your entertainment. You're
Thanks
like,
a lot,
I would
Skype.
absolutely ruin a marriage if I thought it was more entertaining for them to be together. Like,
Yeah, like
Well, the husband also gives her room for that too, because he talks about like how
Yeah.
it could have been like he could have been any other person that just happened to have like common interests and stuff with
Right.
her.
no, 100%.
He's like,
he's being real.
narratively speaking, as a writer, he's like, narratively speaking,
Yeah.
in your life, I'm a character who lucked into the main character role. That guy reads like a main character.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
This is a
Yeah.
better story, is basically what he
yeah,
says.
yeah. And he's right.
No, I don't know. Like part of me wants the tropey ending, but I'm also conflicted because I like bad endings, and this
I
movie
kind of
wasn't
hate
either.
that I wanted the trope ending in the process of this movie, though, right?
yeah.
Like, I'm like, fuck me.
Yeah.
I want bad. I want this to be the samey shit. Marvel, you've ruined me.
Nathan.
I want the superhero.
Oh, what?
Did you want them together, or is it
I
better
think
without?
this is good how it ended.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's
Let's do some. Let's
get
do some
scores.
scores.
Price, wrap it up on scores.
Oh, you want me to go first?
Sure. Well,
All
your name's
right.
right at the top. I go Price, Nathan, Mason, and then Dylan because that's
Yeah,
how he
That's
wrote it.
how I determined it.
Yeah.
Fair enough with me.
Yeah.
I think this movie is so much more a better descriptor of the term that Dylan so artfully coined in our first season. That this is a buffet of
Quotes me
bland.
like this whenever it's
Whenever it's negative.
Yeah, whenever
It
it's negative.
because like I remember that and like that's a good term.
It is a great term.
Foxcatcher, I don't think it really
Foxcatcher,
applies to because there's so much
No,
going on there.
oh,
You may
no.
not care about it,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it is definitely not bland. This
unseasoned
movie
mashed potatoes.
is like the Golden Corral, the worst Golden Corral you've ever seen, where it's just nothing, it's just mashed potatoes everywhere. This movie is mashed potatoes. There is nothing that you would want to see from this movie. I think they're guessing my scores. Whatever. This movie doesn't offer anything to look at the screen for. It doesn't have any cinematography. The one time that the director's like, oh wait, there's a stair there and there's downstairs this way. We're gonna do this one shot. They're all gonna love it. That's the only one people will remember. I've seen that shot a million different times done so much better and not as in your face as in this movie. Parasite does this many times, but does it in a way where it's not directly making you look at and notice that comparison. It doesn't offer anything sound-wise. There's nothing interesting going on with the music in this movie. The acting could have been so much better with the focus on these two characters. They are not that interesting, and the writing is so bad. They say past lives so many times. They do in one. They think that they hit gold with that. And just the relationship between the two main Koreans is just so uninteresting. And just like Mason said, the whole thing the whole situation arises because he's just been simping for this girl for the longest time. And if you fill in the gaps, when it says 12 years later, like Mason just asked earlier, think about where you were 12 years ago.
And then 12 years from now, like, what are you going to accomplish in 12 years? Your life is going to be... You're going to have so many other things going on.
Oh no, I've peaked now. It's all down here.
but that title card says 12 years, and that passes by 5 seconds for us. But the movie expects you to believe 12 years has passed, and this guy is still wanting after this girl. They've had she's been married for this long. It's just, this movie offers nothing. I don't understand why anybody would want to watch this. I don't know why it's getting such great reviews. This movie, for me, is a 0.
I like it.
Is
We
that-
need a button on the other side.
Do we? Well, we actually need
It's-
buttons taped to one
Well,
another.
I think it actually more fits with what it is now.
Oh, the fart
Oh,
noises.
I do resent the fart noises.
Did someone change it?
No, that's
Oh,
been
no.
the same since you made it that forever.
I didn't even know that had been done.
That last one was thick.
Yeah,
I remember
it was.
it was us screaming, and then fart noises, then she, and then fart noises again. So I'm assuming you did
There's
that.
only one person that keeps changing.
I know it is. I know exactly who
It's
it
my
is.
button. It's the one thing I've contributed to this podcast.
That's not true. You helped buy some mics that we don't use.
That's true.
That is fair, but sorry, that's my time over.
Nathan.
0.
Price yields his son.
I mean, I feel like I've said already a little bit that this is a movie that doesn't really movie that much.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, it's just telling a very, very real and understandable story of just the way somebody's life can go. And I don't know, it could just be like my current like introspectiveness on things like that, but I do think it's interesting just like having something that is a very like small subtle piece on like just kind of realizing the way that your life goes a different way. And it's just like, well, you don't get to, it's not like you're going to get to do it again. It's like things are just going to go the way they're going to go, and you're not going to get to go back and be that 12-year-old girl playing with a boy on a playground, and things are going to go that other direction instead. Like it's like a longing for a thing that you're just not going to see again, you know? Mm-hmm. I mean, as a movie though, I mean, it wasn't like riveting or engaging or anything like that. It's just interesting, thoughtful, leaves you with some stuff to kind of think about and really to consider just the you know, what it's like to be somebody that did grow up in another country for a good proportion of their childhood and is now living out a life in a different country with different values. And I mean, it mentions many times the whole thing where she's like thinking about how like she doesn't really feel Korean anymore, and it's like that sort of identity. It's like, how long, if you're, just because you're born somewhere, does that mean that that's the identity that you should own? I don't know. There's a lot of stuff to think about with this.
Yeah, probably a lot of self-conflict, like, in a way, too, like, self-identity and stuff like that, where it's just like, who am I guess you could say.
I mean, she not only had I mean, like I was saying before, it wasn't even just like an ethnicity and like a cultural difference thing for her. She made a big change in herself whenever she moved here because she was getting picked on. She had that going on, so she really had to grow up to be a very different person than where she started with that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. It's just like knowing people that have immigrated too. It's just it makes you kind of think about like the experiences that they've had and how like they had to be shaped in those sort of ways too. But I still like, I'm not like gonna be like going out being like, oh, you should definitely see this, because most people aren't really gonna find it that engaging or really like want to get out of it that necessarily.
This is not a recommend to everybody movie, I don't think.
No.
Yeah.
It's a recommend to maybe some people though. Probably definitely a lot of people that have like
done this,
that have immigrated.
Sure.
And have,
Or
like,
Sims.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Or people who are leading Sims.
I think even the Sims are like, that's not me, bro. I would never.
No, that's when you watch it with your Sim friend and you're like, at the end you're like, you know, that's you.
Yeah.
And
then he's gonna fight you about it. He's gonna say no.
And then he's gonna get drunk. Because that's what he did in the movie.
Tears, yeah.
And then
Yeah, so I think the highest I can give this is a 7. It doesn't even, like, as a movie for me, I don't know if it's necessarily a 7, but I think to me it does have more going for it than I feel like everybody else.
It's completely subjective.
There are no wrong scores except for Price on Jojo Rabbit that one time. Gross.
Yeah.
I think I got like a 6.
I think he still landed at a 6.5.
Correct.
That's not bad.
So I appreciate that everything that Nathan just brought out about, you know, immigration and all this stuff and growing up in the harder lifestyle, but this is not quite what this movie is about. This movie involves a love interest after basically creating your new identity, and from that aspect is what I watched on this movie. But I think that this movie does this so terribly that, like, I don't know if you would even want to suggest this to a person who has immigrated to the United States, because that's not what this even tackles. This movie is literally just about a relationship that won't die. And from an outside...
It's already dead!
To me, from an outside standpoint, I don't so much care about this relationship. It's fine if you're the director and you're putting yourself in this girl's shoes and you're trying to, you know, convey this message to everyone. I just don't think it lands. And it does this for an hour and 40 minutes, roughly. and it's just not good. It reminds me of a movie called Like Crazy. Anton Yelchin.
Yeah, he dies.
Yes, no,
In
not
real
in this
life.
movie. But it's one of those movies that I love to hate. This Like Crazy, it just does it better than this movie, and it was made 15 years ago, 12 years ago. But this movie, it irritated the hell out of me watching it, because maybe the expectations going into it, knowing all of this critics were going nuts about it, Oscar noms through the wazoo.
Yeah.
I did the opposite of what I do with Nathan's movies, where I pitch
set
this
the
one way too
expectations
high.
high.
I know,
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
probably my fault.
Mm.
Since it irritated me so much, I'm going to give it a 4. And I'm so
Damn,
mad about it.
I
I
thought it was-
know. It's a 7.
Dang, that's low for you, Mason.
And it's not that, like, it was a movie. I think it did movie. It just pissed me off as a movie that that got all of this praise. I just don't get it, man. I really don't get it.
It sticks in the butt.
You're in the butt.
Yeah. So, this movie is worth talking about. This movie has here's the thing, I don't want to repeat it too much, but things I really, really enjoyed about this film. I thought that the characters felt very organic. I felt like the story felt very human. It wasn't super popularized, Hollywoodized. It didn't have a cliche ending. It avoided tropes, and there's a lot of things worth respecting on this movie. And it was one of the things where I watched it and I walked away with some thoughts, and then I was talking to Hannah about it because she had just got back, and I was talking to her about this movie that we're reviewing today. And it was on recap that I was just like, no, like the meaning and stuff on that stuff, and like just kind of like reflecting on the layers of it, and I was just like, no, this movie has like such a good message and a really deep, like, thoughtful thing. I think it's not something I market to everybody at all. Like, this is definitely one that's like, I'm gonna need to have you in mind a little bit, rather if it's an immigration thing, rather if it's reflective on history thing, rather if there's several like components that I could recommend this for people too. Not everybody, but people struggling, being stuck in relationships, stuck in life, things like that. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of facets in that I think this movie can relate to, even if you're not speaking from strictly the immigration or different cultural standpoints. I think this is an important movie. That being said, the execution of the film itself left me for wanting. There was a lot of stuff whenever we were talking on Thin and wanting like extra stuff, especially between the 20s and 30s. I was like, yeah, I would have killed to have like all this extra little nuance things, a little extra more fleshing out.
Give me a death in the family where
Yeah.
the guy shows up to the funnel.
or even a montage.
Yeah, no, we had one.
We had one that was really good.
We had a good montage. Yeah, and they mentioned Eternal Sunshine twice. So I thought that was
I
fun.
didn't even catch that. Good for you guys.
Yeah, no, yeah, we got. I remember thinking because I was like, huh.
Showed a clip from it too.
Yeah, and I was like, huh, take that price.
it's,
Literally, what I was like thinking out loud. I was like,
That's the most I've seen of that movie.
no, I know it is. So
it's just a part of my cinematic universe.
Yeah,
the way everything
just
ends up being
revolves
linked together.
back.
yeah,
It's all connected. Kingdom Hearts.
the movie really left me for wanting as far as the movie itself. There was times and scenes that definitely drag. There are times where I was like checking out and looking at my phone, and I kind of hate that because there's like, I love the concept of this film and the stuff that it's trying to say, but the way it gets done in the film itself and what I'm actually watching just left me wanting so much more.
Mm-hmm.
So that part was really disappointing for me, and again, my bar was set very, very high. This is like, again, this has a lot of stuff that I would normally like Asian cultural background story, Oscar nom drama
like
stuff.
Minari and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah. So it's in that ballpark of things that I was like, yeah, and it was a blind watch for me. So like, I can't go in and say I had zero preconceived notions. I thought they did. I thought they were just dead Asians. Like I had no idea.
I
You
thought
did
this
have-
was like a time loop.
Yeah.
movie.
You did have a friend recommended to you.
And a friend recommended it.
And we all know that it got really high critics.
Yeah, and I knew it was critically going around, and I was just like, okay, cool. But a good drama is going to get critic attention no matter what. Like, and that's typically
That's true,
in my set,
especially
like,
around
section.
this time of the year.
Right around this time of year, it's always that case for me. So all in all, I still only land on probably like a 6.5. I probably pitched this and talked this up a lot higher than what I was wanting it to be, but yeah, just there was times I was checking out, I was disinterested, I wanted more from the movie, and I didn't get it.
Man, I'm the highest score on this thing.
I know.
You're not higher than the tomato meter or
Yeah.
the audience score.
Yeah, go ahead and
though.
make me throw up.
So the
Whoa.
tomato meter, audience scores of 98%.
No.
Or sorry, tomato score of 98% with an audience score of 92%,
Which is still very solid.
which is very
like
that.
people don't know what the
Seems
fuck
That
they're
drastically
doing.
these guys are
surprises
out
me.
of touch.
Yeah, look at us, Lozo.
Nathan just flexes.
Yeah.
Oh man.
that really surprises me.
Man of the people over here.
Yeah. The audience one is what
Bad
gets
culture.
me. The tomato score I get, like, Because I think if you're a critic enjoying, like, if you're a critic, like, this is a critic movie for sure.
Oh yeah, well, I mean,
And in '92, if every immigrant went to go watch this movie,
doing a
that's
self-insert is gonna get a lot
Right.
of praise from critics.
Right.
Like that, that's
the
gonna be a
Fabelmans.
thing.
Yeah, Fablemans is the same, and frankly, I felt the same way about the Fablemans. It was one of those ones where I was like, yeah, there's like a really cool story here, but I just felt wanting in the
At
movie
least it was
itself.
Hollywoody though.
Yeah,
That's
it
what
was
I appreciated
Hollywoody.
from it.
Yeah. Anyways, we've got a wheel to spin unless we're missing.
A pretentious snoozer.
Price, what's your user?
No, he gave it 2 out of 5 stars. It wouldn't have been Price.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah.
No. It was fat at 0.
A pretentious snoozer. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
2 hours of a TV show. Let's go.
2 hours of a television show.
Oh, so we got to spin and it can't be Dylan.
Yep, can't be me.
Really?
Wait,
Yeah,
Since
that's
when?
how we did it.
is that how we did it?
Yep.
I don't recall. That's fine. I don't have a show ready anyway.
Oh, because Dylan had it last
Well, yeah.
time? Tower of God.
Mason,
Hey,
that's
it's
you,
me.
buddy.
It's you, man.
Come on!
You're not gonna get any.
I had 2 in mind.
You don't get shit. Like this movie more,
I had a couple in mind.
but not more than Reign of Fire because that movie was
I'm gonna
fucking
watch
dope.
just a couple of choice episodes of Community.
Yeah. Bro,
I
I
mean,
would honestly.
You guys have seen
We've
it.
already
Yeah,
seen
yeah,
all
we
There's
already-
any of
yeah.
them that reference my movies. We need like Zardos.
Oh my god.
I'm sure there's a lot. There's a Lawnmower Man. He
Yeah,
has that
yeah.
part in that too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Freaks and Geeks.
Freaks and Geeks.
Yeah, one of the best pilots I think I've seen. I don't
Yeah,
know
it
how
has it
many
on DVD.
episodes. Whatever equates to about 2 to 2.5
You know,
hours.
I've never seen
2
it.
hours.
I think we're gonna. Yeah, it's 2 hours, so
I feel
4
like
episodes
it's
of a 30-minute
something that's
show.
been recommended to me a
This-
few times.
This is a 40
Isn't
minute.
James
Oh, it
Franco?
is 40 minutes,
Isn't
yeah.
James Franco in this?
Dude,
Everybody's in
it.
this.
Gone
Yeah.
too soon.
Jason
Shut
Segel, or Segel,
Jason Segel, Seth
Seth
Rogen,
Linda
Sam
Cardinelli, Sam Levine.
yeah, from the Glorious
Everybody's in
Bastards and the
this thing.
Schmodown fame.
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah.
So, is this like a TV show?
Yeah, it's a TV show. It's an
And it's only
older.
40 minutes?
Okay,
It's a
so
40 minutes
So
episode.
Okay.
how that 70s show was made in the 90s about the 70s.
Yeah.
Freaks and Geeks was made in the late 90s
yeah.
about the 80s.
Yeah.
So it's like a decade behind, but made in
Oh,
kind of like
man.
that.
Yeah.
Let me be in the 80s.
Dude,
Again,
you might
you and
enjoy
yeah.
so you're gonna come out loving
I'm going to
this.
watch all this.
You
Yeah.
might enjoy it.
I'm going to shit on Arcane and I'm going to watch all
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you didn't like kids.
Yeah. Fuck them kids.
Believe me, I have not forgotten about that.
And yet he liked this movie.
Yeah.
Because I kept poking you. I was like, why don't you like it? I was like, I guess I just don't like kids.
Yeah. Alright? Kids are trash. Quit making things about kids. My favorite part about it was when the kids died.
Died.
That kid was in the sewer,
Gruesomely.
lost his arm. Sick, bro. I'm pro clowning that movie.
And Stranger Things when Bev died. Fuck her.
Yeah. Wait, Bev dies?
I think, right? In the
Season
pool?
1.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's a spoiler in season 1. I don't remember.
Alright, so next week we're going to watch Freaks and Geeks.
Yeah, catch us for the first 4 episodes then? If
I
it's
think
2
2
hours.
or 3.
Oh, no, if it's 40 hours, yeah, then
We'll
it'd be a
look.
3 episode.
I think it's 3
Yeah, I think it's a
episodes.
3 episode one, 40 minutes.
Because it was back when there was, commercials.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
a thing.
Yeah.
So
Well, no, they're back. YouTube,
True.
they're all back, baby.
Yes,
They're
they
just
are.
called
Yeah,
ads
I
now.
got YouTube Premium.
Oh, I just have upgrading ad
You
blocker every
animal.
5 seconds.
you animal.
Anyway,
I have
guys,
two music
That's
today.
our show. Make sure to tune in next week for at
I
least
mean,
the first 3 episodes
yeah.
of Freaks and Geeks.
You know that comes
Bye!
with Premium.
Shut up. You can't get YouTube TV
See you, nerd.
with it.
No, but you can't get YouTube Music with it. That's what you just
So if
said,
I
right?
get you, yeah, I have
Unless you
YouTube
want
Music.
to,
So if
yeah.
I was to get YouTube Premium, that would be bundled in.
Yeah.
But how
I
much
just have-
more would it be for like the?
Oh, I don't know. I've never looked at YouTube Music on its own.
Oh really?
That's the thing that
Oh,
is
come on.
confusing here.
Come
How
on.
much are you paying for just
$10.
YouTube Music? $5 more and you can have premium.
No way,
Hell yeah. Yeah. And
You
I'll
never
do
see
that.
another ad in your whole life.
dude. I'll do that. That's pretty worth it. Beetle.